Hey friends, welcome to Vlogmas Day 3. Today is Thursday, December 14th, right? Yes. And here we are, back again. There's a few things I wanted to talk about. Oh, turn my phone off. A few things that I want to talk about. I'm going to put the symbol up here that was the Chi-Rho symbol. Okay. So the reason I wanted to talk about that is because I always used to get irritated when people would write X-MAS for Christmas. And I always felt like the X was like crossing out Christ. And so I just never did it. And then, I don't know, I think I actually learned this when I did Vlogmas a few years ago or a couple years ago. But I have a deeper understanding of what it is now. So I'm putting the symbol up right there. And I talked about it briefly. It was in the reading yesterday about Saint Nick. The Chi-Rho symbol, also known as the chrismon, is one of the earliest forms of Christogram. Never heard that word either. A Christogram is a combination of letters that forms an abbreviation for the name Jesus Christ, similar to a monogram. The Chi-Rho symbol superimposes the Greek letters Chi and Rho from the first two letters in the Greek word Christos, meaning Christ. It is formed by placing the Rho so that it is vertical. So that its vertical stroke intersects with the center of the Chi, which is again pictured here. So this symbol was used by the Roman Emperor Constantine from 306 to 337 AD on his military standard known as the labarum, in hopes of bringing divine protection from the Christian god during battle. So earlier symbols in use were it goes on and on. We don't need to go in that deep. Then, like when I was reading out of the book yesterday, the voiceover, they were talking about how then they got rid of so it's Chi-Rho and then dropped the Rho, so then it was just an X, and they used that, like people that couldn't write their name or spell, they would, if they had to sign something, they would put an X, and the X means Christ, right? So that's why Xmas is Christmas still. So I wanted to kind of clarify that because I thought that was really interesting. So now I'm not offended if someone puts Xmas. Not that I understand what the heck that means. I want to talk about your favorite treats, and oh my gosh, I got really hungry reading that. So I'm not a real sweet tooth person. Not that I don't like cookies, not that I don't like sweets, but I'm more savory, like, yeah, it's like salty, savory, lots of flavor kind of person. However, at Christmas time, I tend to eat a lot of sugar. I think we all do. And I loved reading all of your traditions and handing, things that were handed down through your family that you now do with your family and your grandkids and all that. I love that. So I'm just going to share with you like my favorite Christmas treats. And I wish I could remember like all the names of the things that my grandma used to make. So like I said yesterday, we always spent Christmas in Missouri, and my brother and I would come in the door. Okay, so I told you my grandma's house. I mean, I don't even know what the square footage was, but it couldn't have been more than 650 square foot. Somewhere 700, I don't know. It was tiny because we had a 950 square foot home, and hers was maybe half the size of our home. So it was tiny. It was adorable. And I forgot to mention this too. So there was 2 bedrooms. So you walk in her house, and to the left was the living room. It's all one big room. So the living room, and then the kitchen, and then if you kept walking straight, there was a doorway which led to the hallway, and there was a bedroom, a bathroom in the center, and then another bedroom down this hall. That was it. All she had. No attic, no basement, nothing. And we would come into the house at Christmas time, give my grandma a big smooch and a big hug, and my brother and I would go directly in and to the right to the kitchen, because in her kitchen was also her dining room table. Past the dining room table and there were these doors you'd open like this for a closet, and her washer and dryer was in there, and the top of it would be covered with these little Tupperware containers of things that she had made, treats that she had made. They weren't all cookies. She made divinity, she made Hello Dollies, you know, she made sugar cookies, she made rock candy, like she made all kinds of different sweets. And my brother and I would just beeline over there and just start eating all the sugar. But that's just, I can't even really name one of my favorites. I really love the Hello Dollies and the divinity. The divinity is something I've never made, and it's something that's, I don't think is real easy to make. We were talking about that last night. I did a Zoom with some stitchy friends, and they were talking about divinity, and anyways, fun memories. Just, oh, love it. So thank you for sharing your comments about that. So, and I forgot to mention what the giveaway was. I mean, it's like I've never done videos before or something. I can't seem to remember everything. So I'm talking about these pouches that are in my Etsy shop. So if you are the winner, go into my Etsy shop, and then on the left-hand side, you click on pouches, and all of these wonderful pouches will come up. Now this is the large size. There's a small size that's quite a bit smaller than this. Maybe like this small, okay? And you know, this is a fall one. Some of them have an all over print like that, and some of them just have like a big image. Front and back are printed the same. There's no pockets inside, but they're nice and big. They're handy as heck. You can use these for project bags, or, you know, I put this one, actually I was using to put all my camera stuff in, like the batteries, the SD cards, the camera, and all the stuff that goes with it. So yeah, very handy. So I'm going to announce the winner at the end of the video, or not the end of the video, but at the end of my little talk here. Kevin didn't join me again today because this is not working out the way we wanted. It's like 1:20 right now, and we have to leave in about a half an hour to go pick up Easton, and he has a gig Saturday, so he's up at the house practicing. I went up there to record, forgetting he was going to be practicing his drums. And anyways, so I don't know, he'll be with us eventually. I'm basically just taking all of the questions that we're doing, and he's gonna have to answer them all at once or whenever he joins us. Well, I guess that's all for my talk. I really don't have anything else to talk about, and I need to get this edited and uploaded before we go pick up Easton. Today I'm giving away this super cool tote bag. This was a tote bag that was available in my shop, my storefront at the Jingle Ball. And I ordered one for myself, and then I decided to give it to you, and I'll just order another one for myself. Or I might actually keep this one, and whoever wins, I can just place the order with the company and have it directly shipped to you. I'll probably do that because I really don't want to give mine away. I'm not as nice as Saint Nick, right? And or Saint Nicholas, not Saint Nick. I don't want to abbreviate his name. So these totes are super handy. You can put a ton of project bags in here. There's no pockets. It's just a basic tote, black inside, no pockets. But like if you're going to the beach, I suppose you wouldn't go to the beach with Santa on it. But I mean, it's just, you could use these for your grocery sacks too, especially if you're, if you're just running in for a few groceries. Instead of using their plastic bags, you could use these for the Christmas season. So that would be fun. All right, so in order to get in the drawing for that one, my question is this: what is your favorite Christmas song and why? Like, does the song bring back a memory for you? It's hard. This is a hard one because I love all the Christmas songs. I shouldn't say all of them, all the old Christmas songs. So I will discuss tomorrow with you what my favorite one is. And then your keyword is going to be song. Song. So just make sure you put song in your comment. All right, I want to tell you who won. So I did the random comment picker, and the winner is Teresa Bennett 9464. I'm going to put her comment up here on the screen. And she said, my favorite Christmas treat is sugar cookies, but my mom and sisters and daughters and nieces all get together a few days before Christmas and we bake all kinds of sweets. All being together is the best. I love that. I think as Ellery gets older and Easton, I think that will be something, would be a nice tradition to start with them. I had mentioned that, I think yesterday, that I want to, I don't know. Actually, I think I mentioned it yesterday during Whatcha Paint Wednesday. I don't even know. I do a lot of videos and I forget where I said what at. But anyway, if I'm repeating myself, my apologies. But I think I would like to start that tradition with Easton and Ellery of, you know, making cookies. The thing is, like, I don't want to send them home with a ton of cookies because I know Bree and Eric wouldn't appreciate that. Send them home with a few and then, but I don't want them here because I will eat them and we don't need that. A few left here, but I want to like bag them up and then take them to, like, they can take them home and give them to their neighbors. They can give them to their, you know, friends at school or whatever, what have you. But use it more as a way to spend time together and then use the finished cookies as gifts for other people. I have this interesting story for you. My friend Renee, when she lived here in Michigan, she would make all kinds of different cookies. I mean, like probably 10 different kind of cookies. And she moved probably, it's been at least 2 years now, possibly 3. I think it's been at least 2 years now that she moved to West Virginia to take care of her parents. And that tradition obviously, you know, was gone. But you know what's really interesting? Every year her son, which is Ryan's age, so he's 25, he and his girlfriends carry on the tradition. They make cookies and then bring them to like all of his moms. Like, so we were all real close. Our kids were all really close growing up. And it was like we were all their moms. Like we would care for them just as we would for our own kids, and carpooling and helping each other out with the kids and stuff. And yeah, so he makes all those things and then delivers them to all his moms. I just think that's so sweet for a man at 25 to do something like that. Super cool. I think I covered everything. Let me look at my notes. I always think that and then afterwards I go, oh, I forgot to mention this. So I told you about the tote. I told you about the pouch. So Teresa, if you could email me please at teresakogut3@gmail.com, then and send me your address, I will order one of those totes or pouches for you. So go to my Etsy shop, click on pouches, look at everything, let me know which one you want. Even if you could screenshot it and include a picture, that would be helpful. If not, it's okay. Just make sure you use the right title for the pouch. And I'll get that ordered and it will be drop shipped. They make it on demand and then they'll just ship it directly to you. So yeah, we're gonna do it that way. All right, thank you for joining me for Vlogmas today. And we are continuing on with the story of St. Nicholas. I do wanna mention, this is kind of the end of his life story and what he did and what he was known for. Starting tomorrow, it actually starts out with his death, and then it starts moving into how different countries celebrate and how, you know, St. Nicholas took on this other, you know, meaning and traditions and things like that. So we're going to start moving now into how it all came about and how it all changed. So, all right, thanks for watching and thanks for joining me today. See you tomorrow. Bye. We left off last time with Bishop Nicholas being allowed to return back to the city of Myra after the Christian persecution. At that time, there still remained many Hellenic temples to which numerous inhabitants in the area around Myra were attracted for their lustful and immoral ceremonies, with temple prostitutes, infant exposure, and human sacrifice. Bishop Nicholas preached against these idol temples, resulting in the people tearing down the local temple of Diana. His preaching, along with John Chrysostom, resulted in the people tearing down the main temple of Diana at Ephesus, which the Apostle Paul had also preached against as recorded in the book of Acts, chapter 19. It had been one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, with 127 pillars, and served as the center of a kind of Las Vegas-style immorality cult for the Mediterranean. Emperor Constantine embraced Christianity and desired to end the Arian heresy, which was splitting the church. He commanded in the year of 325 AD that an ecumenical council be convened in Nicaea, a city just 300 miles from Myra. There were 318 church leaders attending from all over the Roman world, and among them was Bishop Nicholas. The council ended the Arian heresy, which demoted Jesus to less than God, and in its place affirmed the divinity of Christ, the three persons of the Trinity, and that the Son of God was of equal honor, essence, and co-everlasting with the Father. The council produced the Nicene Creed, a popular profession of faith which is used in churches throughout the world. At a critical moment during the council, Nicholas boldly stood up to Arius. A monk, John of Studite Monastery, related that Nicholas, animated like the prophet Elijah, with zeal for God, put the heretic Arius to shame at the council not only by word, but also by deed, smiting him on the cheek. The fathers of the council, indignant to Nicholas for his daring action, decided to deprive him of his episcopal rank. But before the council ended, some of the holy fathers of the council had a vision similar to the one Nicholas himself had before he was ordained back in Myra. They ceased to reprove him and returned him to the emblems of his rank. Returning from the council to his flock, Nicholas strove to care for the needs of his people and endeavored to diligently teach the truth of the Scripture. Once he was reported to have prayed for a baby, preventing it from being burnt after scalding water had been accidentally spilt on it. Another time, he made the sign of the cross over an insane, uncontrollable boy, and the boy became sound of mind. Once there was a famine in the land of Lycia, so severe that people were starving. Bishop Nicholas responded to the situation by going down to the docks and asking some ships from Alexandria, North Africa, which were bound for Rome, to unload some of their grain to help his people. He promised the sailors that whatever they gave, God would restore it to them before they reached their destination. On their return trip, the sailors reported that the bishop's word had been fulfilled. During another famine, the city of Myra had an extreme food shortage. Bishop Nicholas set himself to prayer. It happened that one night a certain merchant far away in Italy, with a ship loaded with grain for another land, had a dream. He dreamt of Bishop Nicholas, commanding him to sail to Myra and giving him 3 gold coins as a pledge. When he awoke, he was frightened to find 3 gold coins in his hand. The merchant dared not disobey the dream and sailed for the city of Myra, where he sold the grain to its inhabitants, relieving their hunger and captivating them with his tale. Numerous times, storms arose in the port city of Myra that were so violent that ships were unable to return to shore. The inhabitants would get Bishop Nicholas to come down to the docks and pray for the seas to become calm. His prayers were answered, and the boats could return to shore safely. This resulted in St. Nicholas being later considered the patron saint of sailors. There was another story somewhat to the effect that Bishop Nicholas miraculously rescued 3 youths who were about to be murdered and put into a large vat of brine. At that time in the region of Phrygia, there arose a revolt. Having learned of it, Emperor Constantine sent 3 commanders with his soldiers to pacify the rebellion. The commanders, Nepotian, Ursus, and Herculian, set sail in haste from Constantinople. Rough seas forced them to find shelter along the Adriatic shore at the port of Lycia. As they remained there waiting for the season of bad weather to pass, certain soldiers went ashore to purchase necessities and ended up taking a great deal by force. Evidently, this happened frequently to port cities, and the embittered inhabitants gathered at a place called Pekatamata to confront the soldiers. Hearing of this impending riot in the area under his oversight, Bishop Nicholas traveled the distance there to quell the strife. Upon his arrival, the citizens, together with the soldiers, went out to meet him and bowed down. Nicholas asked the commanders whence and whither they guarded the way. They told him that they were sent by the emperor to Phrygia to put down the revolt which had risen there. Nicholas admonished them to hold their soldiers in submission and not allow them to oppress the people. After this, he invited the commanders into the city and cordially entertained them. The commanders, having disciplined the offending soldiers, stilled the revolt and were honored with a blessing from Nicholas. As this incident was concluding, there arrived from Myra several citizens lamenting and weeping. They fell at Nicholas's feet and begged him to return at once to defend 3 innocent men who were condemned to die by the bribed ruler Stathius. Our whole town laments and weeps and waits for your return, master. For if you had been with us, then the ruler would not have dared to make such an unjust judgment. Hearing this, Nicholas grieved in his soul, and from the company of the commanders he immediately set out. Upon reaching the place called Leo, they met certain travelers and asked whether they knew of these men condemned to death. They answered, "We fell them on the field of Castor and Pollux, being dragged away to execution, pressed on faster, rushing to prevent the death of innocent men." Having reached the place of execution, he saw a multitude gathered there with the condemned men bound crosswise. They were kneeling on the ground with their bare necks stretched out, waiting the blow of the executioner's sword, which had already been drawn. Into the midst of this spectacle of horror and distress, Nicholas went. Combining anger with meekness, he freely passed among the crowd and without fear approached executioner and snatched the sword from his hands and threw it upon the ground. He then set the condemned men free of their bonds. The men, seeing themselves unexpectedly restored from near death to life, shed warm tears and uttered joyful cries, and all the people assembled there gave thanks to their bishop. When ruler Eustachius arrived and wanted to approach the bishop, Nicholas turned away from him with disdain. The ruler fell toward him, but Nicholas thrust him aside, calling down the wrath of God upon him for his unjust rule, and promised to tell the emperor of his deeds. Being denounced by his own conscience and frightened by the threats of the bishop, the ruler with tears begged for mercy. Repenting of his injustice and desiring reconciliation with the great Father Nicholas, he laid his guilt before the elders of the city. But the lie could not be hid, because Nicholas knew well that the ruler, being bribed with gold, condemned the innocent to death. For a long time the ruler begged Nicholas to forgive him, and only then, when, with great humility and tears, he acknowledged his sin, did Nicholas grant him forgiveness. Returning to the story of the 3 commanders whom Nicholas met with in Lycia, they set out for Phrygia and quickly suppressed the revolt. Having fulfilled their royal commission, they returned with joy to Byzantium.